Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Interjection, and normally I upload videos about Age of Empires 3. Except today I'd like to talk to you about this game. Age of Mythology. Definitely something I have played many hundreds of hours of in the past. Absolutely. I was never any good at it though, at least from a competitive standpoint, but since I've been doing this YouTube thing, I've been telling myself that I would eventually go back to this game and get good at it, so that I would be able to make videos about it and do the shoutcasts and the commentaries and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And now that Microsoft have brought this extended edition to Steam, if there ever were a time to go back to this game, it would definitely be right now. And that applies to anyone who has ever been interested in Age of Mythology. The fact that it's now on Steam is absolutely huge. It's now extremely easy to play this game. You just pick it up since you download it. The multiplayer operates via Steam, which actually makes it very easy to jump into, as there's no need for third-party gaming clients like Game Ranger and Voobly. And above all, it's the extended edition. It's new, it's shiny. There's a whole bunch of new features, and it is just there is just a huge amount of nostalgia surrounding this game for a lot of different people, including me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is resulting in masses of people returning to the game. Admittedly, a lot of them will probably just play the campaign and then leave again, but either way, such a huge influx of people will create a very vibrant competitive scene, as there will be lots of brand new people, just like me, who really have no idea how to play the game, but are trying to get good at it. Whereas, before the extended edition was out there, this wasn't the case, because, you know, if you were trying to get good with it, the only people you could practice with were really already quite good at the game. Those guys over at Voobly, and that kind of makes it a bit daunting to play, and is probably why I never went back to Age of Mythology. So yeah, the extended edition only brings good. Microsoft is back on board. They're promising regular content, indeed, in the form of these events and in the form of leagues. And on a live stream, I believe they even mentioned balance patches if necessary, though they might not be, since the game has kind of been the same for several years, and there is now a very well established metagame around the current balance patch. So, you know, there's that. Microsoft is fixing bugs, though, etc, etc. The moral of the story is that basically they're going to stick around and continue to update the game long after its release. I believe Age of Empires 2 HD is still getting updates. They're bringing some improved AI, so the computers, the bots that you play against, are actually much better at the game than they were before. But yeah, that's Age of Empires 2. But yeah, you know, they're back. They're back indeed. And this all kind of brings me on to the main reason I'm making this video. I have some ideas and some improvements which I think the game could really benefit from, that Microsoft could implement to it. You know, just a couple of things that would be really easy to do, and some things that perhaps might not be. But I suppose the first thing at the very top of the list, and is quite obvious to mention, is at the moment there is a huge FPS lag problem, at least for me, and I think for a great number of people as well, when using the new textures and shaders and graphics, whatever. I would show this off on video, but I know the developers are aware of it, and I would imagine they are trying to fix it, and the lag is really only present when playing online. When you're offline in single player, it's not actually an issue, it's just multiplayer really. And don't tell me it's command lag with the other players, because it's just not. Like, I play RTS games, I can tell the difference between FPS lag and command lag. The game just has some major frame rate lag, and a patch did come out, like last Friday, the Friday before, I don't know which, something like that, and that kind of sort of addressed these issues along with a whole bunch of other things, but, you know, that hasn't made a huge deal of difference for the majority of people, I would say. But yeah, there's no point talking about this, because it's not constructive, it's not an idea of mine which I've come up with to improve the game in any way. It's not like I've come up with this brand new UI feature that I've thought of. Anyway, I will say that the lag makes the game very frustrating to play online, which is, you know, is for the foreseeable future, where the majority of players who will continue to play this game long after its release will be. So that, you know, that they're the ones going to be playing it a couple of years down the line, and yeah, that's kind of where the issue is on the multiplayer. So, and it makes micromanaging units very difficult. So people at the high end of competitive play, you know, those people with 2,000 plus elo, is you know, for them to play on the new textures and stuff, I think it's very difficult, and it's kind of unplayable sort of for them. But yeah, this isn't constructive. Let's move on to more constructive comments, which I think the developers would actually like to hear about. So, first of all, the Steam Workshop. Excellent work. This is really great. This thing is amazing. It is this extended edition brings what this brings to Age of Mythology. The extended edition is great. It just allows players to make mods for the game, and it really allows them to distribute those mods easily. Like, to install a mod you want from the workshop, you literally just click a button, and then to uninstall it, you just click the same button. It's literally just as simple as that. Anyway, by mods, I don't mean stuff like adding new god powers and new units. Well, you might be able to do that sometime in the future. At the moment, I don't think they're letting you do that. But you know, the point is, what I'm saying is, by mods, I mean actual useful mods, not like new god power crap like that. Just, you know, stuff like improving the user interface and making more informative tooltips. Let me show you. So right here, this is how the game normally looks. It shows you your resources in the bottom left. You've got a mini-map in the bottom right, etc, etc. All of that normal Age of Empires stuff. But with this mod here, let me load it up. Alright, here we got the Mister using his mod. And despite the quality of his live stream, you can immediately see some of his improvements to it. For example, the mod he's using makes the game display next to your resources here. It shows you how many villages you have on each resource, which is obviously really helpful for managing your economy and keeping an eye on your resource income, and basically is something I personally would not be able to play this game without. So I have a very similar mod installed for that reason, which I got off the workshop. I don't think Mister's mod is on the workshop at the moment. Anyway, another thing that Mister's mod does is allows you to see through the UI. It's literally see-through, so that means you can see more of the map, which is also really helpful for competitive play for a number of reasons. But yeah, I personally don't think this should be a mod. It's really good enough. Even the slightly crappier version, which I'm using, which doesn't have the see-through UI, is really good. I couldn't find Mister's mod on the workshop, as I said. I think it's a private mod, but you know, something like that. When the developers get all the bugs fixed and sorted out and everything settles down, and then perhaps they could implement this mod instead of being a mod, just put it in the game, like put it in the options menu or something, so it is just part of the game for everyone to use. It is that good. It's perfect. Anyway, another mod which is a must-have for competitive play is this one. It improves the tooltip information. For example, when you hover over something or you bring up an information menu, the game tells you about the unit you're looking at, like what it's good against, except that information it gives you is just some washy, useless crap. Alright, by washy, useless crap, this is what I mean. I'll start the game as Thor, and you begin with 2 dwarves, which are special types of settlers. You do get normal villagers, which, you know, gather resources, all of them, properly, but dwarves, I hover over the picture here, says, dwarves are good at mining gold, but weak at gathering food and wood. And as an Age of Empires 3 player, I'm thinking, yeah, this is a fairly interesting game mechanic. You get special villagers that are good at collecting one type of resource. So I click on this picture here, expecting to see some exact stats, like how much faster does this dwarf gather gold? Is it worth making? It says, dwarves are good at mining gold, but weak at gathering food and wood. Oh, thanks for that. Really useful. Alright, same with the Ulfsark here, right? He is an infantry unit, and he is good against cavalry. So, how good is he against cavalry? No damage multipliers or anything, he just says he's good against cavalry. How is he good against cavalry? Do you need more information on the tooltips, really? This is just silly. Alright, but here on the extended edition, where I have my Tooltips mod running, I have a lot more information available to me, and to show that off, I've gone up to the classical age, and I've built a barracks and a temple, and I've trained a couple of extra units, but we'll begin with the dwarf. Let's start with him. It says here, he gathers 1.09 gold per second, and it of course shows us all the other rates at which he gathers resources as well. Food, 0.68, quite slow. But we'll compare it to the villager, the regular villager here. He actually gathers gold at 0.9. So, you know, your dwarf is actually 20% faster, I'd say. He's actually definitely a much better gold gatherer. But yeah, this gatherer, 0.85 food per second. He's so much quicker on other resources. This dwarf is only good at gathering gold. So, yeah, you've actually got those stats available to you, can see it. And let's go back to the Ulfsark here. He's got infantry, good against cavalry, as we know, but there's no actual extra damage versus cavalry other than Terma. Terma is, of course, a archer cavalry unit. It also has a plus 200% damage versus obelisks, which I didn't know. So, Ulfsark, no extra damage versus cavalry, but he does have quite high hack armor. Let's take a look at some of the other units here. For example, this throwing axeman, he throws axes, obviously. He has good against other infantry, and he does plus 175% versus hoplites and myrmidons, plus 100% versus Norse heroes, all of which are infantry, and plus 125% against just all other infantry. That's really good. I didn't, you got some actual solid stats here to show you how much better these units are at countering what they're supposed to counter. And let's take a look at this here. The hero, this is really surprising. I really didn't know this, but heroes, of course, they counter myth units, and it does 500% extra damage versus myth units. That's absolutely insane. If you don't know what a myth unit is, in Age of Mythology you can train them depending on which gods you go up with. Like when you advance, instead of getting politicians, you get gods, and I chose one that gave me a troll. And the troll just throws like rocks. It's like a ranged unit. It has 12 ranged damage. It's really strong, basically. So yeah, this mod is honestly good enough to be in the game, especially when you think about how Age of Empires 3 has all of these features either already in the game or they can be enabled via the options menu. I mean, come on Skybox, surely these mods can't be too hard to implement into this options menu or something. You've got half the work done, right? But yeah, in all seriousness though, I think these mods ought to be toggleable from the options menu, and that would certainly encourage StarCraft 2 players and people from more modern real-time strategy games to stick around for Age of Mythologies multiplayer, because let's face it, they have far more useful tools and interfaces than we do in other games. Alright, another improvement to the UI, which I think should be pretty easy for Skybox to develop, is an on-screen unit production queue. Yeah, let me show you a clip from Age of Empires 3 here. As an Age of Empires 3 player, I find it super hard to play Age of Mythology without this feature, as I'm just so used to it. It may not be essential to Age of Mythology, but here you can see across the entire screen that there are units being trained and technologies being researched, which with what looks like a green recharge timer, which you might be familiar with from some MOBA style games. Anyway, whenever I put a unit in production at the town centre, the villager appears across the top here, and whenever I put a military unit in production, that unit appears in the production queue here as well. Same with technologies, and the same with shipments, etc, etc. This feature really allows players to keep an eye on what they're making and how much time they have before it will be created. It's just super useful, and I don't think anyone who plays Age of Empires 3 could not play the game without it. But yeah, I don't think this should be too hard for Skybox to develop if they were to make something similar for Age of Mythology. This is because they've already got something very similar developed in the form of the Observer mode, which is excellent, by the way. Really good job there. Very impressed with the Observer mode. I just wish Age of Empires 3 had a native Observer mode, but I'll show you the Observer mode. Wait, hold on, let me bring it up. Alright, this here is a 1v1 between two expert CPU bots set to the Titan difficulty setting. And, yeah, they're fighting each other. But basically, I've got the Observer mode up here. You can see this is the production queue. This is part of the Observer mode. It shows you what they're training right now, what's researching, the buildings they're building, all of that stuff. It's basically the production queue in Age of Empires 3. And I think, take this box here, and implement one into the actual game when you're playing, and it shows only the units you're making and stuff. That could be really useful, and is just basically the feature that I was describing. Like, why can't we just put the Observer mode, this bit, into the game? But whilst I'm here, I might as well cycle through some of the other things it has to offer in this Observer mode. We've got the losses, which shows us how many resources worth of units, buildings, etc. they've lost throughout the course of the game in relation to the amount it costs. So this guy's lost almost 8,000 foods worth of units throughout the course of this game. Anyway, you've got kills here, you've got units, the ones they have on the battlefield right now, you've got buildings, it shows you all the buildings they've got on the battlefield right now for both players, and you've got, it's really nice basically. I just wish Age of Empires 3 had something like this built into the game. What we're looking at now is the game I was playing earlier at the beginning of the video, and I'll just let this play in the background whilst I talk. But basically, let's say I'm a new player to this game, and this is the game that I'm playing right now that we're watching, and I've got this unit production queue on screen. I'm like, what the hell is this? Because I have no idea what this game is about, and I'm just here for the campaign, and I'm playing my first match of single player, and it's basically just screen clutter to this noob, okay? So I think this unit production queue ought to be in the options menu, so they can toggle it on and off. So if the noob doesn't like it, they can just get rid of it. So yeah, there's that. I think, at the very least, it would be nice to see a unit production queue become a mod in the Steam Workshop if the developers don't end up doing one. Anyway, shall we move on to my next suggestion? It is a fairly simple one, and it is a change to how the quick search feature functions. You know, the matchmaking, that thing that finds you a random game, either a 1v1 or a 2v2 or a 3v3, whatever you want to do, it just puts you into a game with random people. You know that. Every RTS game have it, it's great. It's definitely by far the fastest way to find a 1v1 in Age of Mythology, absolutely. But it's flawed, it's so bad, because, like, okay, imagine this, right? I press start. Okay, it finds me an opponent for my 1v1, but then the guy just resigns. He's like, oh no, I didn't like the map, I wanted a land map, because he's like a land player, or whatever he calls himself. He doesn't like water maps, he'll quit every time he gets a water map, and he's just like, I know, I'll resign really quickly at the start of the game, and then I can jump into another quick search game, and hopefully I'll get the map I want to play on. Good job the game wasn't rated, and I didn't lose any ELO points, because you don't lose anything. There's no penalty for doing that. You don't, like, if you quit the moment the game starts, you do not lose any points. No one does. It's just like, so if the guy really wanted to, if he didn't like the map, he can quit. If he doesn't like the civilization or the god that his opponent is using, then he can quit. If his opponent's too high a rank, he can quit. He doesn't lose any points. No penalty for doing that whatsoever. And if you're on the receiving end, it's really fucking annoying. You see, it's just flawed in the sense that you can just do this if you really felt like it. It's just, let's say you're the Mister, alright, who is currently the best player in the world at Age of Mythology, and you get a quick search game after several minutes of waiting for someone close to your rank to connect, because, let's be honest, there aren't that many 2,000 plus ELO rated players, and then your opponent is just like, nah, you're too good, I'm gonna go quit. And he's going to try again, and you're just going to have to wait another 3 or 4 minutes for your next game or something. Go figure, it's stupid. It just, can we get rid of this silly quitting, because they don't... In Age of Empires 3 there was a very similar problem upon release, and a problem similar to the one I just described, and basically the way they fixed it was they made every match in quick search / matchmaking, whatever you want to call it, they made every match rated from the word go. Well, custom games and games in the game browser, if after 2 minutes of gameplay, they would become rated. So if you quit before 2 minutes, they wouldn't be rated. But for quick search games, the ones with random people, if the moment you start, they are rated in Age of Empires 3, and it should be like that in Age of Mythology as well, because then it would stop all this silly quitting. And if you don't like the map, or you don't like your opponent's civilization or whatever, then tough, it's rated, deal with it. That's the way I think it needs to be. So yeah, basically, Skybox, please make quick search games rated from the moment they begin. It just needs to happen, honestly. Alright, so there is that, absolutely. Shall we move on to my next suggestion? It is also a fairly simple one. Alright, yeah, the name of the game is Age of Mythology Extended Edition. Alright, this seems like a fairly appropriate title, it's pretty good, but on Twitch.tv, where the majority of live streaming is done for this game, they would rather call it Age of Mythologies Extended Edition, which is not the name of this game. I've streamed, apparently, Age of Mythologies Extended Edition on Twitch, and you cannot use your own game name. You have to pick from a list of games which are already there, and the game name for the game I was playing was not correct. Ladies and gentlemen, Age of Mythologies is a turn-based strategy game based on the Age of Empires series released on Nintendo DS. Age of Mythology Extended Edition, however, is a graphically enhanced and more up-to-date version of the classic title Age of Mythology: The Titans Expansion. So yeah, that's pretty weird, to be honest. It needs to be fixed. I don't think it's something Microsoft can fix. I think Twitch has to fix this. I don't really know who is able to fix this. Perhaps Microsoft can email Twitch asking them to fix this, or something. I don't know. It's really not important, I suppose. It doesn't really make any difference to anyone, but yeah, since on Twitch you can pick between Age of Mythologies Extended and Age of Mythologies: The Titans, which was the original game, when you're setting up your stream and you're writing in which game you're playing, it does sort of make the total viewers of Age of Mythology Extended look less. As you can see here, there's currently people playing. However, let's say someone like me or Bolt TV or the Mister or I Am Prestige or just anyone on the official Age of Empires channel starts streaming Age of Mythologies, and instead we pick the name of the old game by mistake or something, and then our viewers won't be added to this total list of viewers here, which sort of looks bad for the game if you ask me, but yeah, it's not important. Anyway, I suppose the suggestion I'm making here is, can someone get on this and ask Twitch to fix the name of the game, and maybe give it a picture too, because looking at this question mark isn't exactly that great either, but yeah. I don't really know how Twitch works, so if this is not possible, then, that's fair enough, but yeah, it's just a suggestion I'd like to put out there to anyone who is willing to listen. Alright, next up is recorded games. That's right, I am an Age of Empires 3 player. Like I have said throughout the course of this video, I came over to Age of Mythology with the intention of getting good at it. Therefore, the first thing I did was head over to RTS Sanctuary and PKClan.net in order to grab some of the high-level expert recorded games so that I could indeed learn how to play. I then went on to put these recorded game files into the folder where Age of Mythology Extended Edition saves recorded games. So I put the games that I downloaded into the folder, and then I went to open up my brand new shiny copy of Mythology Extended Edition. Alright, everything is going to plan. All good. I open up the game and they start playing back. It's perfect. I'm looking at these players' build orders, how many villagers go on each resource so they can get hunting dogs and you can get their temple up before they age up. All that stuff, build ordery stuff, and everything's good. I'm learning stuff, but then all of a sudden, for some reason, the computer AI kicks in and he's like, nah, these guys, they're no good, I'm going to take over. So the computer actually stops playing back the recorded game and just takes over. It's like the AI just decides to kick in right in front of me. Any recorded game recorded on Age of Mythology, the Titans expansion, the original game, just seems to stop working after a couple of minutes of gameplay, and as I said, the AI takes over, and you see these expert players doing really stupid stuff, like not building drop sites next to their woodline or gold mines or whatever. It's quite silly, but yeah. When the game was released and I got my copy and I downloaded it on day one, I didn't have an old version of Age of Mythology the Titans, so I wasn't able to actually watch any replays. I only had the extended edition, so basically I wasn't able to watch the recorded games I downloaded. So yeah, that was annoying. I was, however, able to watch recorded games which were played and recorded on the extended edition, but upon release there really weren't that many good ones to watch. I think now that the game's been out for a while, there certainly are more good ones, but there's still not nearly as many good ones as there are in the Titans expansion, but that's simply because the Titans has been out so much longer than the extended edition. But yeah, I suppose I ought to have seen that coming. I mean, the extended edition and the Titans expansion are different games, so they might not be backward compatible, but it would be nice if they were. So my suggestion is perhaps at some point, Skybox, once things have settled down and all that good stuff, would you be able to add some backward compatibility for recorded games, so that games recorded on the old Age of Mythology can be watched on the extended edition? That would be pretty nice. But I do understand that balance patches, if you are to release any balance patches for the extended edition, then games played on the old Age of Mythology would be on a different kind of balance patch, and for that reason, even for technical issues there, it might not be possible. But yeah, it's just a suggestion. I am, however, anyway, let's move on. Alright, next up is my final suggestion, and because it is my final suggestion, I'm going to have to end the video once I've finished talking about it, which means that the game that I'm playing right now, that'll be cut short. There's quite a lot left, so if you do actually want to watch the rest of the video, there will be a link in the description somewhere, which will take you to another video containing the rest of the game that I am playing right now. But yeah, there's that. My final suggestion, ladies and gentlemen, is one that concerns an attack move. Now, for those of you who don't know, attack move is a feature in many RTS games, including StarCraft, including Age of Empires 3, and including, believe it or not, Age of Empires 2 HD. Basically, this attack move is where you press a hotkey on your keyboard, and all of your units will immediately target the closest enemy unit in their line of sight. And this basically means that instead of right-clicking on a unit and all of your units like crowding around this one dude trying to kill him, and they're walking past all the other guys which are attacking them, just trying to get to this one guy that you've told them to kill, And instead of just walking around and not fighting, instead trying to get into combat, they will instead just, if you use attack move, they will just select the guy who is closest to them and start hacking away at them instead. And it's just far more efficient. As I said, it is a feature that a lot of RTS games have, and the Age of Mythology doesn't. It is kind of needed, and without it, it just makes melee units sort of hard to use compared to ranged ones, especially in terms of efficiency and especially in laggy conditions. It kind of sounds like it would take away some of the skill involved in micromanaging units, and whilst I do understand that concern, I don't think it's entirely bad, because you still need to do all the other micromanaging things. You have to identify which units are low HP, and you can still run the units around which are being targeted, so your opponent's army just follows that one unit about, and you still have to know the unit counters, and you still have to make sure your units are attacking the correct ones. I just think the majority of the high-level community across all competitive RTS games would agree with me that attack move would be a great addition to Age of Mythology. And also, you have to think, if a lot of other RTS games have it, and though people from those games are coming over to play Age of Mythology, and this game doesn't have it, then they might be less inclined to stick about. So, my suggestion is, Skybox, can we at some point get an attack move in the future? That would be quite nice. But yes, that is my final suggestion. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's me done for the day. And I would ask of you that, if you agree generally with the sentiment I've been expressing in this video, well, I would encourage you to press the like button on the video to kind of show your support of these suggestions to anyone who may have power to do anything about them, in case they do watch this video. But yes, my name has been Interjection. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and for those of you who were wondering what the outcome of the game I'm playing right now is, then feel free to click on the link in the description. It will take you to another video containing the rest of this game. But yes, again, my name has been Interjection, and normally I upload videos about Age of Empires 3. I'll see you next time.